All right. Thank you very much, Zafri, for the introduction. What time is it now? 11:36. We are still in the morning session. So very good morning to everyone. I'm delighted to be on this platform. Fusion is very dear to me because we first started Fusion back in way before COVID. That was the first time, and I think we are in the 4th or 5th year running the National Symposium. So it's really wonderful. So I'm here today. I was invited by the organizer, Dr. Zuraifa, to host a session which is known as In Conversation With. Before I invite Dr. Tariq properly, okay, I would like to share briefly, okay, with the audience who Dr. Tariq is. I won't be spilling out too much because Dr. Tariq will himself do the introduction properly. Okay, Dr. Tariq Zaman is an ACM, distinguished speaker and also an associate professor in University of Teknologi Sarawak, in Cebu, where I was fortunate enough to meet him in person, a month ago. He is attached at the School of Computing and Creative Media there. Most of his projects, and just publications equally reflect the multiple voices of indigenous wisdom and cultural understanding by converging local, scientific, traditional, and cultural knowledge. So by establishing transcontinental academic partnerships and organizing pluriversal fairs, so Dr. Tariq will be explaining to us about what these terms are, for celebrating the diversities of indigenous knowledge system. So Dr. Tariq challenges the system marginalization of indigenous researchers in HCI and as well as in the ICT for the fields. So particularly in this particular session, Dr. Tariq will critically reflect on his endeavors, which are strongly influenced by the positionality. The term is on the poster, which he wants to describe this as indigenous identity and Situatedness, long-term partnership with indigenous communities of Borneo and Namibian Kalahari Desert. So hopefully within this talk, we all will gain something at the end of the session, where at the end, Dr. Tariq will provide new ways of thinking HCI and also fuse the understanding of transcultural approaches in HCI. Okay, so this is the brief introduction that I would like to share with you all. So now I would like to invite Tariq himself in person, although we did it virtually, to be on the stage with me. All right, all yours, Tariq.
Oh, thank you very much, Masitah. It's really a privilege to meet all of you here. It's interesting, and this is my first time conversation with the myHCI community. So that I can see and I can read many of the names with whom I am aware. Many of my colleagues from UNIMAS are here. But other than that, also long ago in 2012, when Dr. Alvin was here, my supervisor was PhD, so he was bringing many people together, and he's very active here. And again, this is oh, sorry. Now, I sometimes become very emotional when Alvin name is there.
Because so, you guys have a very, way back.
It is somehow that relationship is very strong. So yeah, it's really a privilege to share, follow up his talk today.
Yes.
And yes, it will be over to you. How you would like to proceed? Would you like me to go through the slides, or would you like to?
Yeah, so I was thinking perhaps, I would like to begin with the title that you provided as Shinwarey Lawangina. What is it exactly? Because this is like, none of us have seen this before. Some of us actually term from the internet. So maybe you can share with us. Okay, well, what that's the term.
So from my understanding, I hope that whoever Google it, they have seen a very nice song there somewhere, with some traditional singers and with the modern music. So basically, my whole journey working with the people in Borneo, especially with the indigenous community in the Upper Baram area, with the Penance, some interesting concept are there with which actually attach back to my indigenous identity from Pakistan, as well as my religious identity also. So yeah, we all Muslim knows that the God has very clearly mentioned that how he separate the two different type of water inside a sea where the seas meet together. So there is a thin layer in between which separate the sweet and the other type of water. And in Penance community where they settle, the nomadic Penan where they settle, they call it Long. So all these long names, if you Long Lamai, Long this, that is all those villages which are actually established at the confluence of two rivers. And Shinwarey Lawangina is also that very nice song which is by Samar Minala, and you can watch it. I'm not sure I have the time to play it here, but then
They
I
have
will
to
come
go
back.
up to the video. Yeah.
I will come back to that concept again at the end of that why I choose that word here, but it is giving us that sort of a sense that where the two or three different type of knowledge system meet together, that place is very important actually.
Yeah. Right. Okay, that's very interesting. So if you want to visualize it a bit, because Dr. Tariq has provided us with the description and how it means to him from his point of view. But if you want to visualize it, yes, you will first find the video from the internet to give it more meaning. I would like to bring the audience now, because from the first session, Dr. Alvin was there, and he mentions, few times how the project, from the beginning, and it even, lot of things still happening until today. And he keeps mentioning your name, the projects that have been going on. So perhaps you can share with us, by following up a bit from what Dr. has mentioned, and maybe you can share with us how did you first get your work started. Yeah, maybe you can share what you are doing as well. Yeah.
Okay, so I had this dual academic background. I have a law degree, and then I'm also a computer scientist. But then from the very beginning, I was looking at myself where I can work with the human being, with the people, instead of working only with the machine. And there where I found Dr. Alvin's project in Borneo when I was looking for my PhD studies. And I think he was looking for some sort of project managers. so I ended up coming over all the way here. So let me go to my next slide, maybe. So this is my journey. It's not me actually, but what I'm doing. And when I'm saying it, the differentiation, Masitah will know much better. Our last PDC, we have a very interesting speaker, Leonardo, from all the way from Colombia, and he talked for 25 minutes that who is me and who is my work. So then after that, I also reflected on that this is my journey. So I started my journey from I'm a Pashtun, and I have a Pakistani passport. I work. My family is settled in Pakistan, and I'm a Afghan from like from my ethnicity. So Afghans are in the two or three different countries we are based in. And I was teaching in the school during the very there was a very devastating earthquake in 2007 where I was as a graduate. Then I worked with the schools and start teaching with them about computer sciences. In 2009, I moved to Malaysia, and what Malaysia really gave me, of course, again, sorry.
No, it's all right. Yeah.
Yeah. So what really Malaysia was a very interesting place because of Alvin's working with this indigenous community, going to the field, bringing the researcher to the field and open the space for us. But another interesting aspect that his network is very strong. I'm sure many of us agree with that, whoever met with him. So he will also bring a lot of researcher from outside world to Borneo. And there I met with Heike, who you can see in blue shirt. She's a German professor working in Namibia. So with UNIMAS going to the community for my PhD study, where I start working on the eToro project. So it was looking at the technology role, how the technology can bring the younger and older generation together. And actually that interesting concept came from the local community members. They were looking at it. So 2009, that relationship has been established as a PhD student with UNIMAS. But then myHCI also invited me to go to Namibia, and I was very fortunate that as a PhD student, I got this whole ticket sponsored to go to Namibia and going with her to the field, how she works, and I was like contributing like a cameraman. Now in the picture, the people you can see, they are all very established professor in their field in HCI. So after that, when I went to Namibia, yes, of course, I start working with Namibia. 2015, Cornell came in and brought to Malaysia the concept of service learning, that how we can connect our classroom learning to our community's experiences. So this was a very interesting partnership, actually. We were so much working in the community, but we really didn't thought about it, that how our practices, research practices can inform of our teaching. But then the service learning concept was interesting. So from 2015 till now, we are still working together. And but during that time, then I realized that I need a break, actually, because there was so much in practice, going to communities, establishing projects, but I didn't find a time to reflect on. It is not about only about my academic career, but about the whole life, that, okay, what I'm going to do in the future for next 15, 20 years until the retirement. So I took that break, and I found that opportunity to work with HTW Berlin as a professor, where I only need to teach one lecture, and the other time
That's
sitting.
nice.
Yeah, and the other thing, reading. So one of the most important part was that in Malaysia, I couldn't really time to read. I think it is not really part of our academic structures also in undergrad, that the students are pushed to read. And then second important aspect, that what to read was another very important question. It's not about reading, but what to read. So that Berlin experience for 2 years of time really helped me actually to reflect and read and reflect and read. Then I also start working with the CMDT, Cameron Malaysia Education Development Trust, to bringing some technology development to Malaysia, connected back during that time. 2019, I am back to Cebu. And I think it was a good time. I reflected. I have something in my mind that what I'm going to do for the next few years. And the university had been established in 2013. UCT at that time, now University of Technology, Sarawak. But then please remember one thing in this whole case is that other than the Cambridge Malaysia Education Development Trust, none of my relationship has been ended. I'm still part of those team. I'm still part of UNIMAS as a research fellow. I'm still as a course moderator with the NUST and Namibia University of Technology. With Cornell, I'm still working with him, with HTW. Now we are collaborating with them. And of course, so that relationship and working with those community is still important. There is no end time in that. So that is the journey part. Now I'm going back to that question. You need to bear with me now, because Alvin, where Alvin actually, so a lot of my work in designing in the wild, specifically going to community and working with them. This is 14 years work. I cannot really but I will build on like what Alvin mentioned about eToro, Oro. These are the two projects that but other than that is also, so I will not repeat those ones. They are still continued. I will go to some new one, which we are currently doing. And okay, so this is one of the projects. So from the wild, what we mean is not just a wild in pre-pandemic world, but during pandemic, we were facing another wild situation. We were all at home. and especially I'm a father of two little girls, and they were doing the online schooling, and we found it that it's so difficult for our children to use the technology in
Yeah,
online.
yeah.
The
I remember
technology, yeah, the technology is not really like Zoom, Skype, and it is not really made for the kids actually. So we came together, a very strong team from 4 countries: Namibia, Finland, Malaysia, and one education psychologist from Germany. 7 researchers include like 3 professors, 3 PhD students, 3 schools, 1 from each country, 4 undergrad students as developer. And this whole process was like 1.5 years during pandemic we did. Offline co-located. It was a very intensive process. The aim of that project was to co-design technologies with children, which the children can use in design sessions.
Okay.
So the children were the main designers.
Yeah.
And then we have developers on top of that, our undergrad students.
Yeah.
And we have researchers, the PhD students. We published in the last 2 years, we published around 8-9 papers from that, very specifically from that.
Wow.
Without any, and there is no funding involved in that project. We are all were working from homes and whatsoever.
Yeah, yeah.
And we are doing a workshop in Nordic Eye just now, happening in the next 2 weeks. Anyone interested, please go to Nordic Eye. I can share also the link with you. So this is one of the projects in the wild situation we did during COVID. The second one is Cebu is a Fuchao city, and you were also in the session.
Yes, yes, I remember. Last one. Yeah.
So this was another project that we were doing. For us, another part, if we have this strong gallery and the strong identity, Fuchao identity in the, I have 90% of my students from Fuchao descents. But the problem is that if you ask them about Fuchao values, they will not know. And there is a whole value sensitive design in HCI. So we designed a course on service learning for HCI for undergrad student. The student was learning theory tools in the classroom, but they were closely engaged with the Fuchao Heritage Gallery and developing tools for the galleries. But then they were also going back to their own identity, talking to their parents, grandparents, what Fuchao means. We have a very interesting reflection of the student online. If anyone is interested, please write it down. Approach me. I can send you the link. This is the Service Learning Conference, slc.uts.edu.my. And so those students reflected. This was another project. We have also very close network with the Malmö University from Sweden. They gave us 6 master students, user experience design student, a very experienced students who work with our undergrad student to develop a proper virtual museum for Fuchao Gallery, which we are currently developing it. The concept is here. Now, and this is also the UNESCO award-winning project. The third one, digital inclusion. When I came to UTS, I asked my vice chancellor one question that, okay, what is your vision of working for where we can contribute as in UTS? And he said the digital inclusion and connectivity is one of the big problem for us. We all know GSMA is saying 95% of Malaysia has 3G internet. MCMC is saying it is around 80+% of Malaysia has internet access, but then there is also a small word used, populated area. So we start working very in depth on that, looking at the policy directions, what are the government policy and inspirations, then developing proof of concept, a community network, then coming up with the contents, digital literacy program, and then also coming up with the tool. So for example, I will mention only one tool here.
Sure, yeah.
We have myspeed.site. So for example, currently we have Jendela map, which is going to show you that what is the internet coverage in Malaysia. But the problem is all the reports are coming from telecommunication companies.
Yeah.
And currently the figures, we all know that the figures are not reflecting the ground, but what we can do. So what we did, we developed MySpeed site, and then you can go and you can test your internet there. You can go anyone now. But that you can also do with the other speed tests. We have 3 use cases for that. First, if as a consumer you want to purchase internet service in your locality, you want to see which company is giving you a good deal.
Yeah.
This site is going to help you. So you can also see the other people data, the other test. Second one, as a policymaker, a lot of rural ICT projects are supported from the public funding under the USP.
Yeah.
Now, if you are a public representative, if you are a YB and you want to know what is the current status of internet in your locality, this site is going to help you. We don't have any other sites for that. The third one, a very interesting one. If a village has only one tower to approach or to link to the internet, and that is down, how someone will know? The reporting mechanism can only support call or going by post, but call, for example, from Long Lamai, you need to take a 2-hour boat and a twin otter to go to Mary, which will more than 1,000 to just make a call to MCMC that or telco that is not working. We developed a tool which we call Net Stethoscope, which is connected to our MySpeed site. You can connect government or policymaker. If they have one site, there is only one access point, they can connect with that, and our tool can ping every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes our site, and we can tell you, we can show you that what is the current internet speed or internet connectivity status at that location for the last 2 months or whatsoever. So these are some of the project which is coming actually from the ground during the pandemic situation recently, other than what we are doing before.
Yeah, so, maybe Tariq, I would like to share a bit. I was at, during your symposium or the conference that you held last month. I was there experiencing the speed, what you call that, the speed ride or something. I was so impressed because, now we are talking about data-driven HCI, how impact, how it can be impactful. To me, it is very impactful because the people who are supposed to give or provide services, now they can see based on the data that they receive that yes, that particular village doesn't have the coverage at that particular point. So they can, take actions promptly, So it's to me, even though it sounds very, small effort, but the impact is very, very huge. So that's the first impression that I got when I was there during the exhibition. So yeah, please continue, Dr. Tariq. It's very interesting.
So these are the, for example, the initiative that other than what we are doing in other project, there are so many other projects like climate change is one of our another very important aspect.
Yes, definitely.
We are working on cultural and then service learning, participatory design, co-design. So these are, with all these things, what is the big question for us? So we have the knowledge outside the university campuses, outside our labs, in the communities. This is well recognized. I cannot refer it to a very specific literature, but it is like the ABC of HCI, that the knowledge is not just in your lab and not just in your outside. There is 60, 70 years of literature from education, from HCI, from psychology, from community development is available and well recognized. But then if now currently we are looking at it, that these two knowledge systems, one is the experience-based, the other one is made more theoretical, how they can coexist, how they can make a connection with each other, how we can make a relationship with these two knowledge systems to come up with a better future. So we were in Unimas, usually we have this type of a lot of discussion, but then going back to literature and finding whether the other people are also facing the same issue, that was another aspect for us. So this was a big question actually that in 2016 onward, we start looking at it.
Okay.
Okay. And there 2 or 3 things came. One is the positionality and situatedness.
Yeah.
Now, steampunk design is very famous design, and there is, if you want to look at this specific this concept, designing for the future, but which one in the interaction is one of my first recommended reading for my undergrad student, that they must need to read this paper and then reflect on that. So Boninardi is talking about these 3 different actually arenas. The first is that if you want to design, so that steampunk and the other people are promoting that you design based on your past, whatever you have, and design on that, like a frugal design, control over material. So need to identify that part very specifically, that from where I belong, who am I, what I have, can those values inform my HCI design paradigms? So that is the first thing. The second one is present. What challenges we are facing today? Can my design, can my interventions address those challenges? So that is the second one. Real world life problems, for example, deforestation, species extinction, population growth, those are all, pandemic was another one there actually. Online education, challenges of online education. This internet connectivity challenges is another one. So these are all our everyday problem. Every day we are struggling with that. So I'm not saying it that we don't look for the big data, artificial intelligence, but for me is, and for this part of the world, we found it that our past and present is very much important to look at. And then we also look at it that can we use the craft, like the local material, which can come from our past, which is available. So a lot of our previous studies, like with the eToro, Oro, there are cultural studies a lot. We have some modules for training young researcher before going to community, and we publish those in our PDC conferences and those things, that before, if we send young researchers to community, how we can make them ready. Just now, UNESCO mentioned about it, managing the expectation.
Yes.
If you are approaching an industry, it's not enough that you say, I can do, or I want to do. Your want is not enough. So for us is that actually, this is important, that if we want to design any intervention, can we use our past? So the past material, the past content, if they can inform of our present, so that the craft is coming from the past, the present, the design process, whatever design process you are applying it, is it from cross-cultural, it is the user center, or is it participatory design, how it fits in your current context. That is very important. So the design process is, and then we look for the futuristic technology. Technology will always look for the future. It is. And the problem is that if we just adopt the technology, technology is very much westernized, designed on Western values. So to neutralize the technology part, our past and present and craft and design process can actually neutralize that part to inform our technology design. So yeah, that is the part. Now the thing is that I'm going to move from this one now to come up with the 4 main things actually that.
Yes, that would be nice to to relate everything back. Maybe you can proceed with that. Yeah.
Okay, so this one was the main question.
Yep.
There could be individuals. So the first thing for us is theoretical framing, whatever is our practices. What the HCI community is talking about it, is anyone talked about it already? Is there any literature available? Experiences are available on that. So once again, what I'm mentioning it that the last 10 years, I'm aware, our Malaysian education system is going through a crisis. the crisis of ranking to publish in an impact factor journal and to discourage the experienced researcher to go to the top tier conferences is really a devastating situation. Yeah. Which is what is happening now, that the conference is giving the physical experience to you. With the COVID, we know how important is that physical experience. So if you go there, you meet with someone on a tea table, on a lunch, on a dinner, that 10 minutes is giving you a lot of experience than reading whatever papers of them. So yeah, for us, the theoretical framing to know who others are doing and how we connected that. These two pictures are very important here. You can see the girl, she is, you met with her in Bawanga.
Yeah, I did, yes, yeah, lovely.
She's a school student and she was our facilitator in a PTC conference. And she designed the culture protocol that before researchers come to the village, what they should take care of. So that's how she was engaged. The other part is, you can see there is Rob McMahon from University of Alberta. There is Leonardo, me, Liz from Malmo. We are all working with community for last than 10, 15 years in different parts of the world. And there are two community elders sitting with us to telling us that, okay, what they value in terms of research in their village. So this discussion is happening in their part and on our part. Now, going back, if we have a problem, we go back to ask our elders. So for me, these two people are very important. One is Uraike. Uraike is an Himba elder. He's our co-author in many papers also, a village man. And we talked with him about this problem, actually, that we are facing this problem, that how we can inform the academic community from our practices, how we can inform our practitioner from academic experiences. And what he said, that the field brings knowledge, meaning if you remain at one place, you will not learn from others. That was a very wise thing that he said. And then the other one is Garon Apanan elder. And what he said, that some researchers work for the community, some on the community. However, Longalamai preferred the approach working with the community. So this with is a very strong word. And please remember, these both are not university graduates. These are we have recently, this course you can also find in our upcoming paper in Nordic Eye conference, which we are promoting a very interesting concept. I will come back to that. But then talking to them and getting their ideas, actually, what we, okay, that's okay. Okay. We look at it. Now, we have two types of knowledge system. One is, please go back to the problem that we want to inform the academia from practices and the practices from academia, that part. So we were thinking that can we alienate these two knowledge systems? Okay, keep the academic knowledge on one side and look at what the traditional knowledge is doing, or keep the traditional knowledge on one side and look what academic world is doing. That could be one of the way. Cross-cultural studies are all doing those parts in HCI information system, looking on the others, but it is hardly an option in ever more linked world. The world is quite linked with each other. Our communities want to see what your graduates are contributing to the society. Malaysia is very beautiful place at that the government has a very strong position to ask the academic, tell me your impact on society. So in that case, I think we cannot keep, this is not an option. Second one, integration. Integrated studies are so much where actually we bring the technology. In our eToro project, it was the integration process. That we bring the technology and we said, okay, there is traditional, can we extract that and store in the, but then the problem is that who decide what to integrate? Our technology has limitation in terms of feature. For example, the screen has a specific size. You can accommodate specific icons on that. Memory has a limitation. Communities' knowledge don't accept those type of limitations. Then you need to make a choice. But who make those choices? That is another big question, actually.
Yeah.
The third one is the coexistence. Can we means be there both in our places and coexist? But then there is always, we found another problem. If we go to the community, we work for a few days, community, and we say, oh, we want to develop this technology, can you help? They will always try to please us. They will not try to ask us that your technology is not working, go to whatsoever, bring it back, go take it back. They will not say, they will try to fit it within our case and try to not to. So the last one is collaboration. And the pluriverse world where the differences complement each other, where actually the community-based co-design and co-design part comes in. So with Garen and Urique, I don't learn Penang language actually.
Okay.
And Garen can accommodate with English whatsoever. But we have a lot of discussion in the village and on the forest. He is the expert of his area. I don't touch that part whatsoever. I'm expert on mine. We have that one space where the different knowledge system come together and we make a compromise on that, on something. We wrote about it a lot of details. You can go to the paper. I will come back to that. But
Sure.
in the paper, there is this interesting metaphor. We adopted it from Alvin. Thanks to Alvin for that. It's about this cross-cultural studies. And we have this metaphor of if you have the fruits and each fruit is there, you can specifically differentiate, you haven't mixed them. This is the intercultural concepts where this is a fruit, but it looks like a cat. So with technology design, we want to make together something else, which is not neither traditional knowledge or indigenous knowledge, not a technology one. And the third one is the multicultural studies, where you can combine in a fruit salad different things together. You can still differentiate from each other. This is not my field, this is your field or whatsoever. And the last one is the smoothie. The smoothie is for us the universal world, where actually the knowledge is entangled in such a way that you can't differentiate who is bringing what. But with the taste, you can feel each one has a taste there. So we have to study, very thorough study initiated in Namibia in a conference. Me and Heike was talking that she came over. We went to a nice place on an island in Borneo, and we sat there for 2 days to write this paper. And then we start looking at it, that how actually this different metaphor community narrative is linked with HCI theories like the three waves or the design paradigm, how they are linked with each other. So so that paper comes in from there. For me is that actually people are liking this paper a lot. Now in HCI field, they are citing it so much. So that's why I want to highlight here, because there was a question from someone previously that to publish, how to publish on these things. I tell you, there is so much to publish. The only thing is that do you have a strong domain knowledge? Are you connected to the HCI community? Are you talking to them? And then do you have a reflection time? Reflection is important between bringing these two things together. So that is one. Second one, so that was one, the theoretical framing. The second one, institutional reflexivity. Our individual project, my experience from 2009 until 2016-17 was so much on individual project. Publish individually, but for what? If we can't really bring change. And what I mean from change, does our academic structures allow whatever we are talking now? I'm not sure. So, for example, the knowledge of these two guys, they are informing a lot of our research. The people from Cornell, Garen went with me to Cornell University to deliver a lecture. But for him, can a Malaysian university invite him as a visiting professor? This will be so difficult because we have a very structured. So this institutional reflexivity is, I think, very much important.
Yeah.
And what I found it in that case, so these three guys, if you see them, you met with Masitah with them.
Yeah, I do met
Yeah.
Adrian and Gary.
Isra,
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 yes, Isra and Adrian.
and
Yeah,
Mac. And
they're
Mac.
very
So
knowledgeable.
Mac is from the Bawanga San community. Isra is a Penan, and he's a graduate. Adrian is a very strong voice and indigenous.
Yes,
But
yes.
they here in this forum, they are talking to the policymaker about internet connectivity problem in their villages. So there are two things. One, we start going to the community, but the other things, we open our academic and policy spaces to them to bring those people there who can talk in those forums. Okay, but for that, the first thing is we found that even at our academic, when I came to UTS, I think that was another challenging part that I start looking at it. What do we mean by participatory design? What do we mean by computer science? What do we mean by cultural studies, intercultural studies? So these are all very important questions, basic questions. So I'm thinking that that's very important for if we are developing our community, academic community, that we actually expand our epistemic capacities. We accept some standards. We connect ourselves to the international standard, to the international HCI community, and understand from their side, and then come up with every distributing survey questionnaire, collecting the data with the survey is not a participatory design. Participatory design has a strong root of more than 60 years, actually. So we need to look at this whole academic discussion, what it means, instead of just giving a title to it that, oh, whatever I'm doing is a participatory. So for us, that was the important part. The second one is pluriversality. Pluriversality is to open our classroom for other forms of knowledge. So our other knowledge custodian can also come in and contribute to our classrooms, teaching and learning. So that is the second part of. And the third one is extending our boundaries. Currently, when we engage with communities, we say, oh, we have a very strong connection. We have a very strong network with the community. But then if I want to bring my laptop from the university campus to the community, I need an insurance for that. Yeah. I need to fill 10 forms for that. What it means that our universities are not yet considering that community space as a part of university. It is a separate sided space. So a lot of our community project are facing all the challenges, administrative challenges of filling those forms here and there. And can I pay to a community elder for his time? No. But then can I pay to a researcher? Yes. This is a joint project. There is an award competition. Can I bring the community elders with me to participate? No, because academic. So those, I think we were thinking that we need to really extend those boundaries to work in. And we also, yes, for these cases, we have the service learning book, actually. You can get it. The third one, universal fare for universal world. I'm going back now here to some figures, actually. For the CHI conference 2016 to 2020, 72% of the study participants were from Western countries.
Correct. Yeah.
Again, and almost 3/4 of the knowledge we produce in CHI is based on only 12% of the world population. Okay, and then so to address that challenge, African community, HCI community did a very great job. They have established AfriCHI, a very strong conference based on the indigenous values. And then, but then they're still facing a challenge. I'll give you a simple example. The NordicCHI conference 2018 and AfriCHI conference 2018. NordicCHI has a citation count until June 2022 is 462 citation count, while AfriCHI has 147.
Okay.
So it means that even the problem is in our very well-established places. So what we need to do, instead of that they come to us and then they collect data from us. What we are thinking that these all community projects we are doing, we are collectively generating knowledge. So can we bring these community experiences also as a part of academic well-established conferences? So they are not only, community are not part of only data generation, but they are also part of dissemination, knowledge creation, and they can also learn from those conferences to bring back to their communities. So for that one, we are doing this Pluriversal Fair for Pluriversal World. In PTC 2022, in a place we did it. I will acknowledge UNIMA's role on that. UNIMA's and the team is doing, Alvin has established the EBKF, e-Borneo Knowledge Fair from 2007. And they're also doing this year. The only challenge with that problem is that is a separate event, not part of a big academic conference. So what we are doing for a Pluriversal Fair, that we are establishing this Pluriversal Fair within a very well-established conferences. And then in the PTC 2024, we will have a separate chair for them, which will be shared by the indigenous researchers. And we will bring like different Raike, Garen, and other people to that academic conference. Okay, so that's the one. I will stop it here. Then I will go. But for me, is that these three are the main, for me, learning, or you can say approaches to address this big problem, which is here.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tariq, because the way that, because initially from Dr. Alvin's talk, he showcased some of the successful projects, but when you came in, you provided us with another perspective or insights where everything can goes back to writing, okay, improving the way that we see things now, how we can, go from here in terms of doing our research, because you've been giving us new views, because previously when we talk about HCI, we pretty much like bounded in the context of looking from the UI aspect, and now of course we are leading towards UX, but still it's not that vast in terms of the view. But then you came in and giving us all this new information. I really like the drawing that you have just now, where it has the quadrant, from one place, and then how we can go beyond that. So hopefully what I would like to do next is, shaping up everything that you have shared with us, from here to the drawing that I really like just now, where the kids, playing, there's a big tree in the middle. Most of the audience today with us are students, okay, young students, young researchers. And I think from the morning session, some of the concerns that we have is, some of us really do want, to work with the community. Perhaps you can share with us, okay, what are the challenges? I know we have spoken very lightly just now in the previous session. Were there any, what do you call that? Not hesitations, but was there any concerns that you faced, maybe from the community themselves, okay, that would hinder the relationship? And maybe from there we can talk about a bit on, most of the audience are doing computer science, and you yourself, from computing department. The thing that we usually face is not computer science enough, So maybe you can also talk a bit about that, and then we can wrap it up the session nicely with where we should go from here. Okay, so I pass back to you, Dr. Tariq.
Sure. So going back to actually the challenges with the community. So from my understanding, I think that's not the role of a PhD or a master's student in any way to establish that partnership. It is the role of the leadership of a lab or a faculty.
Yeah.
So for me, there is another big challenge. As an academician, we we don't stand at one place for the next 30 or 40 years. We
Yeah.
know move, and the movement is good. Actually, I appreciate that part, because that's what your Ike said, that you need to move. So sometimes if you have a limitation at one place, you need to move, but communities will be there.
Yeah.
And if you establish this relationship, how you are going to sustain that relationship. So I think the institutional role is very important on that, that the institutions need to establish that partnerships.
Mm.
And then the leadership of the institutions need to take a very strong role in that. I was so lucky in UNIMAS that when I was coming, Alvin, Gary, and those all
Already.
people was
Lovely.
already working with that. And I
Yeah.
just tap on that, actually. I
Mm.
just came in and tap on that. Then I went in depth of the process. Still
Yeah.
not yet enough there, but then I tried that. Okay, I'm not worried about that. But then the community engagement process is again like an onion model. It is not a one-time go with a
Yes.
circle. It's an onion. They have so many. So we have like the situation that we have the discussion just now. If I tell you, with Garen, I'm working like for almost around 14 years.
Mm.
We have a very strong debate in the last session that some of the signs he don't want to be going to the publication.
Ah, okay.
Yes, he has a strong,
Right.
he has a
Yeah.
strong, he has a strong opinion in that, but that opinion is personal. It's
Yeah.
not a community opinion. So what I'm suggesting, and I had this discussion, that if we want to exclude few of the signs from that body of knowledge which we are producing as a book or we need a very solid reasons for that.
Yeah.
That the community agrees, because that is the part of the community-based co-design. It
Correct.
is an individual. It is not just participatory design, it's a community-based co-design. So the community voices, we need to make that sense. So for
Yeah.
me, is that actually the challenges with the community engagement will always be there.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the way is that it's not, I will not suggest that during master study, someone do that part, or PhD study, they need to focus a lot of that. So the institutional has a vision for that, a strategy for that. And there the institution need to see that where the young researchers can fit the mentorship there. So for me, that is another part. UNIMAS has this lucky point that they have a very strong mentorship in existing, but UTS we didn't have. So we have senior professor and we have young researcher. And if you see, we are bringing a lot of researcher from outside. One of the reason is that we want to fill that mentorship space so they can guide the young
Yeah.
research. So that is the challenging part, that the challenging are there, but of course that could be the way of that, yeah. And then the second thing is as a way out, of course, that is like my next last one, this one.
Sure. Yep. Okay.
Partnership and networking. Again, this is a Nature publication there. I'm citing it here, that if you, as an early career researcher, co-authorship with the scientist, experienced scientists, predict success in academic career. So all the young researchers, if it is your learning time, you need to contribute, actually. You need to work with someone. At that time, you need not to care that, oh, why you are not the first author. Because at that time, maybe you are bringing something there, but it is not at that stage. So the academic research is clearly saying it, that in that type of co-authorship partnership, actually, the young researchers and researchers from a small university get more benefit than the others. So there is that phase to build relationship is more important. Get trained during that authorship. You will see these all people here in the last, during pandemic and everything, we have brought around 30 to 40 researchers from outside world. And I strongly bring my own team members to the outside conferences, to outside Malaysia, so they can connect, they can work with them. So I think that is one of the way to somehow settle, to connect and address the challenges on both sides. With community, again, experienced researcher. with outside, again, working with experienced researchers. So other than the supervisor, role of mentors are very important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my this one. Now you were mentioning the last question that you also asked another one. I'm not sure. What was that?
Yeah, I think there were two more. How we can ground it back. I know somewhere in your sharing just now, you did mention about, publication, how it actually part of the our nature, especially as academician and researchers, we have to publish. But maybe we can, specifically bring it on the lens of computer science itself. What are your thoughts on that, Tariq?
Okay, so I will be like, oh, my light is automatic. So
Sure, go ahead.
I need to exercise somehow. Okay, now it's okay. So interestingly, this is not a new problem and not for Malaysia only. PTC community found it many years ago. Kai community is also now going to that. So for example, PTC community opened the space for exploratory papers. So what they did for this year PDC, that they organized training workshop for young researchers to write an exploratory paper for PDC conference. Awesome. So for my understanding is that if you want to go for the big tier conferences, there is no harm that you try. But one way is to also try from the short paper, from situated actions, from exploratory paper. So that could also, and then again and again and again, find the mentor. Find the mentor who can open that space for you, and in return you can get more training for that. So that's my 2 cents on that. And yes, reading is for example, specifically what I suggest to my colleagues here, that if you get a thesis for evaluation, don't I'm sure many of you are also doing the same exercise. Don't look from the abstract, start to looking on the literature, what that person has read.
Yes, definitely.
The person has read the right material, he referenced the right material. I will tell you that even 2 days ago, I got the Oro project. We work on that, and you have seen we have a paper in Interact conference. It's 900 papers. That paper has won 2 awards in first time in the history of Interact. We have the Kai honorable mention paper on Oro project. Only 3 days ago, I got 2 papers from Malaysia who wrote about Oro, but they didn't reference any of those material. So now the thing is, why not? How you can actually miss that papers which started the whole thing if you're writing
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying, that if anyone look at it, they will first start looking at from that side.
All right. Okay. Very nice. Answer to that, Tariq. Maybe we can. Time is 12:36. Maybe we can wrap it up with what's next from here. I think you want to share something with the audience.
Of course, that PDC 2024.
Yeah, I know.
So just for your information, PDC conference is happening for the last from 1990s. It is one of the best conference in Scandinavia. We were trying hard to bring it out from Scandinavia to Malaysia, and we were not successful in 2016. This year we are successful. We got it for 2024.
Congratulations.
Conference, and it will be happening in Cebu after 2 years. But in the next 2 years, we are going to work on different things. Of course, we will have trainings for the young researchers to join the workshop to write for the PDC. There will be many PD community coming along. to Malaysia, also before the conference and during the conference. The dates are not yet confirmed. You can see the PDC website also. We have just quickly come up with some website to put, but yes, the committee is very strong in that, and it is a good start if you are looking for some transcultural universal type of discussion. Actually, the PD community is one of the strong, small community and very closely working together.
All right, thank you so much, Tariq, for the big news. I think this is very is awesome, because I know it's not easy to bring a huge conference at that scale, you know, at our own backyard. So congratulations once again. This is very much like, you know, we have listened from Dr. Alvin, Dr. Eunice. You can hear that, you know, from Dr. Tariq's talk, that everything is like connected in some sense, you know, how everything was begun. And then from the Eunice's point of view, she talked about the leadership, and, you know, when Dr. Tariq was speaking about his experiences, you know, working with the community, it's also important to bring in some kind of leadership, you know, to, especially when you start to establish with the community. And then I think in our situation, the institution must also play some roles, you know, to certain extent, so that everything can be planned out, can be executed as planned. So that's I don't have any questions so far. But maybe
there is one question.
okay.
The PDC knew in Malaysia how to create awareness. So of course, that's why I'm also here today.
Yeah, that was the what you call that, the implicit gesture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one thing. But then one of the reasons is that we are fortunate enough that myself and on our side, SBE Sarawak is very supportive to bring conferences to Malaysia. And the next, you can see 2 years, the first 1 year will be for us to do more awareness. So if you are organizing, that's why when Masitah was asking me for this session, I asked her, is it physical? Then I can fly. Come on.
Maybe next year we'll make it physical.
So you will see, if you are organizing any conference, you maybe see me around, or any of my colleagues from here, and we will. But then the other part is that we have some networks actually. I meant to mention about the IPID Asia network.
Yeah.
IPID network is for the postgraduate student working in ICT 4D area. Anyone can join it. We usually organize, for the last 2 years, we were organizing online school. This year, we also have in PDC one.
Yeah. Maybe we can ask Gary to share the link or any information on that, please, Gary, on the chat.
I'm gonna write it here.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So you can go there, and then you can attend. But on the other side is that we will disseminating the information. So that is one of the networks that we are promoting for young researchers to come in actually. But actually, this whole Shinwarey Lawangina concept is that where the water is and the long is also there. So really, this bringing both for Malaysia and for this, we are a very rich cultural diverse country actually here. The Malaysia is. If you only look at our Rajang River where Cebu is, there is 15 ethnic group in that small place. That diversity is not existing, and HCI, PDC, those all communities are very eager or enthusiastic to look for that diversity, so we can take benefit of it. In terms of acknowledgement, it is not to all those people who contributed to this research, like Garen, Wilson, Raike, Alvin, Prof. Nara, Unimas, but also to the whole ecosystem. The water there, the trees there, the environment there, which actually supported us, or which actually accepted us to go to their place and somehow intervene in their beautiful natural environment. So the acknowledgement goes all to that. Thank you very much. And if you have anything in the future, also I'm going to write my email here, nuts.edu.my, or please go to our my institute uts.edu.my, and you will find more information.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much, Tariq. So I would like to perhaps just to wrap up everything, okay, before I pass it over back to the MC for today. One thing that I learned personally, at least from my travel to Cebu and then listening back to what you said and what the Alvin was sharing, what the Eunice this morning, you know, one thing that when we are working with community, we always think about that what we can provide them. But I think you did mention, you know, when I was there, there's something that you should also not forgetting is what you gain, you know, from the experiences. So this is where the reflection should always takes place. So I think I have to train myself, you know, because sometimes we miss to do the reflection part. And to me, it can be very impactful, you know, because it shaped the way we see things to decide what to do next and so on. So thank you so much for this kind of insights. I wouldn't be, you know, knowing or remembering about this if weren't for this session. So thank you so much once again.